I feel like I'm teaching or something. This is pretty cool. I should do this every Sunday. What'll I do? What'll I do? What'll I do? What a question, right? Wow, look, more people have filled in. Good morning, y'all. This is cool. So, on the way through life, as we are claiming what we want and focusing on it and navigating through the faith landscape, doubt shows up, doesn't it? Yes. And so what do you do with that? I've had a chance to think about a lot of that in the last couple of months. And life is just a magnificent thing. Because I realized as I've thought about the last 6 months or so, especially since I started taking this class, how a lot of things have just come together at one time into this big soup of possibility and of support for me in everything that I'm trying to do in life and accomplish in life. And I realize now that all these things have happened, all these roads have converged into one place in time. And I didn't see as it was happening that all those roads were opening up for me. I mean, there was just one thing, and I said yes to this thing, and then yes to that thing, and yes to something else. And every single time, that particular thing felt right. It resonated with me, so I said yes to it. And every once in a while, I would go, this is interesting. So why do I all of a sudden want to go to a class when I know I don't have time for a class? And yet this feels perfect, so I'm just going to say yes because it feels right. And here, 7 months later, it's all becoming clear. And even though all these roads have converged into this one place in time where all of a sudden like light bulbs are going off in my head and I'm going, oh. And I'm finding that all of these things that have come into my life are now supporting me even with things that I'm challenged by. So they're not just things that I wanted, that I imagined, like that reading that I did, but they are answering prayers that I didn't know I was going to pray now, which just gives me goosebumps when I think about that and how miraculous life is and how miraculous this universe is that we live in. So what I'm learning and that I'm blending with my spiritual beliefs is quantum theory and how scientists are talking about and discovering a continual process of discovery about what the quantum world really is and asking questions and challenging themselves and having to throw out other theories because they say, oh, that's really not working because that has nothing to do with quantum theory. So we used to believe that, but that's not working anymore. Or it never worked. All this the quantum world was always there. We just didn't know it or recognize it. We didn't know that it was there. But what I'm finding that, and this is what I'm working with doubt, is when doubt comes up now, I know that there are a billion times a billion times a billion possibilities in life. And that thing that I imagine when I am in a place of doubt is one of those things. Because it all could go in the ditch. That's possible. Everything that we imagine is possible. And the more you imagine it, the more it's probable, actually. The more you focus on it, the more you give energy to it, the greater the probability is that it will show up for you. So when I go into doubt, I don't fight it anymore. And I acknowledge, yeah, it could happen, and yet, but wait, there's more. I have billions and billions of other possibilities, minus that one. So I remind myself, my doubting self, that we're choosing something else other than that situation that drives down into the ditch. And that's given me some freedom. And freedom of mind, of imagination, is a wonderful thing. Because then it does open up doors, I believe, to the possibilities that are divine intelligence, this imagination that we have, this power that we have to decide that we want something other than the current experience. The imagination that we are projecting ourselves into. So more than once, I have said to myself, oh yeah, that could happen. And I have chosen something else. I am choosing something else now. I'm choosing something I have never had in my life before. And that's why the doubt creeps up. It's precisely why it creeps up. So there's no need to kick ourselves, or should ourselves, about that very thing which is very human for us to have. Because again, like we talk about, the brain is already calculating that you're trying to do something you've never done before, and the brain is saying, oh, don't go there, we don't know what that is. Don't do that. We're back in the danger, danger, Will Robinson category. Danger, danger, don't do that, don't do that. Don't go there, because we don't know what that is. And we know what your current life is, or we can really imagine this thing going into the ditch, and so we can calculate that, because, that makes you contract, so your brain is okay with that. Anything that's expansive, that requires you to step more fully out into life, is dangerous for the brain, for the body. Because the brain doesn't know what to do with something it has not dealt with before. It has to figure it out on the fly. And that's why you get nervous, you get anxious, stuff, your breathing gets more shallow, you're hyperventilating, you think you need a bag, and you got your head between your knees, and you're thinking, oh my God. But there's a part of you that says you want that. There's a part of you that is drawn to that. And it's that part of yourself, of our God self, that we need to say, yes, that other stuff can happen. I'm choosing something new. And we're going to be okay. In fact, we're going to be more than okay. Doubt is natural. Everything looks wonky when you're at the bottom of the mountain and you're trying to get up there. Everything looks dangerous, treacherous, arduous, and we don't want to go there. We don't, because we don't know how to live there. So doubt's not a bad thing. It's natural. And the less we kick ourselves, or should ourselves, about anything in life, the better. The better. Anytime I've kicked myself, it's never helped. It never has helped. So what can we do? we have to know what we believe about life. And so if you don't believe that there are all these possibilities out there and that there are a million different possibilities, you don't even have to go into an infinity number of whatever that is, of possibilities. A million is enough to think about. That should give you enough choices between things you don't want, kind of, sort of want, or really want. And choose from that. But choose with God consciousness, through good God consciousness. Let God consciousness be your guide about which way to go. Not your fear, not your doubt, not the parts of you that just want you to be safe and in your little corner and doing the things you're used to doing and that make you comfortable. Anytime I've been called forward in life by Spirit, I have been mighty uncomfortable. The thinking part of me is uncomfortable. Because how do you calculate something you've never seen or experienced or can't quantify? That's why quantum physicists are ripping their hairs out and knocking their heads against things and running experiments and seeing things work, and then they run it again and it works again, and they don't know why it worked, and they don't know what it means, but they know it works, and then they try something slightly different, and then something slightly different happens, and they're not sure about that. Our journey is often the same when we're trying to move forward with something new in our lives. You get to figure out a little bit, one step. And usually it's just one step ahead. And be grateful for that one step. My analytical mind always wanted 500 steps ahead. Give me the 500, tell me what it looks like, tell me what it's going to feel like, tell me what I'm going to need, help me, I don't want to be afraid, so let me calculate it all right here. And generally, what I have found is all I get is that one step. Just do the one step, because the other 499 mean nothing until you do the one. Step out in faith on the one. You really only need faith for the one step. And then when you get to step 2, then you go, oh, okay, this isn't looking so frightening. Just now I feel a little bit stronger because I did step 1. And I'm feeling my God consciousness around step 1. And then I can go to step 2 and think, oh, not so bad. And then 2 is done. Then you go to 3. And if you're carrying a little bit of doubt with you, okay. God's there anyway, in the doubt. You are still God consciousness in the doubt. Because your humanness doesn't go away. Our lives are this intersection of humanity and God consciousness. It's really all one thing. The body is just trying to contain us, and it contains some of us. It can't contain all of us because we are energy. We're a pure energy when it comes down to it. Doubt's okay, it's going to happen, especially if you're projecting something that feels far away from what you are now. I forget who it was that said it. If it's something you can figure out, then you haven't thought far enough ahead. You haven't expanded far enough ahead. Because then you don't need God. You don't need your God consciousness for that. If you can figure it out on your own, why bother? Just go do the thing you think you're called to do. But expand enough that you do have to venture into God. Now what? Now what? How do you want me to show up here? Show me what I have here in my beingness now. Help me bring that forward into this step now. And be in that fully. Be in that fully. Not looking ahead, but just in the moment. Deal with the moment and what you have now. And let yourself be fully divine in that moment. It doesn't matter how big or small you have judged that step. It's an amazing thing to be in your God consciousness in anything. You'll be lit up. Doesn't matter what it is. I remember one day we have slate floors. One of the slate tiles was loose. And I figured, I'm not going to call somebody to come just do this one little tile. I'm like, I can figure this out. There's YouTube. And I did. I went to YouTube, and I found out how I can pick this tile up and regrout it and do everything else and put that tile back. And I did that. I had God consciousness all over me when that tile was back on that floor, and it wasn't rattling. I felt like maybe I should have had like a blonde streak in my hair by the time I stood back up. Check me out. I'd never replaced a tile before. But I let go. I let go of everything that told me, don't do that, because you don't know what you're doing, girlfriend. Just call somebody. Actually, next one has to be replaced. I'll be calling somebody. So it doesn't matter if you've judged something big or small. There is no big or small in God consciousness. There isn't. There's just stepping forward and expanding. Expanding. It all matters. It all counts. It all expands your heart. It all expands your belief in God consciousness and lets you rest there. Because I tell you, even just that experience, replacing that tile, seeped into other areas of my life, as Laura led us in reciting. That when I focus my mind on divine mind, goodness seeps into every detail of my life. So I'm carrying the replacement of that tile in the other areas of my life. Because I know all I have to do is let go, stop telling myself that this isn't going to work, stop telling myself that I can't do it, and just do the thing. And in replacing that tile, there may have been, I don't know, maybe there were 10 different steps. But all I did was one step at a time. All I did was one step at a time. And finally, it was done. Finally, I'm walking around like a superwoman. But we can apply that to anything in our lives. Anything. Because again, and it depends on what you believe. So really check into what is it you believe about life and about God. Because if you believe that God is finite, then life is going to be finite. If you believe that God can only help you with some things but not other things, that's how your life is going to show up. And so now, most of what I'm dealing with now is I have to stretch my consciousness about God. If God whatever that consciousness was, it helped me replace that tile, and that worked, and a lot of other things worked. So many things worked in my life that I'd never, ever done before. But I let go and I let myself just be immersed in God consciousness. And I let go of all the doubt and fear. And I may have carried some of it forward with me. But I kept telling myself that God consciousness always works. And so it's got to work with this too. But But if you believe in a capricious God, a judgmental God, a God that rewards you because you're a good girl or good boy, then perhaps that God will not grant you what you're now asking for. But that's a belief system. What is your belief about God? I've proven over and over and over again in my life that the law, which is God, love, supreme love, divine love, works all the time. So that means this brick wall that I am nose to brick with, that wall can be blasted away too. God is the same before the brick wall as after the brick wall and through the brick wall. Through the brick wall. We got to have these conversations with ourselves. When you're in the midst of doubt, have those conversations. Because sometimes we just think, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this, so I'm not doing it at all. I'm not going to deal with it, and I'm just going to let this, whatever the situation is, roll over me. I'm just going to tap out. Whatever it is that's in my life right now that's just come down my path, that brick wall, I'm just going to let it fall on top of me, and I'm just going to lay here until somebody comes and rescues me. That's one of the gazillion choices. Throw in the towel. Or can you expand your faith, your consciousness around what can happen now with that brick wall? And so I'm choosing that because I know I want the thing that I'm claiming. I know I want it. It's resonating with my heart. Every single fiber of my being is telling me that that thing is for me. I've chosen it. And so I know, according to the law, and sometimes I have to say that aloud to myself, because that's part of the faith walk. You're believing in something that has no evidence in the world. And you say, okay, this too. Yes, this too. Yes, this thing too. And all the power of the universe you can apply to that thing. Universe with a capital U. All the power of God, that is you, that comes through you and as you apply to that thing. And then you keep applying it, and you keep affirming it until the brain, until your mind catches up with your faith. Not the other way around. Not the other way around. So when doubt shows up, say, okay, this is new. I don't know what this is. I don't know where I'm going. I don't have this figured out. But you don't have to, because divine intelligence has it figured out. All those opportunities that came to me, I had nothing to do with them happening. The class I'm taking, I didn't know the teacher of that class was going to be at the conference I was sitting in. And because he could have been there and never mentioned the class, and I wouldn't have known he was teaching it. But something made him go there. Somebody ask him to speak at that conference, and he was standing up front, and he had already planned the class, and it was coming up at a perfect time for me. I didn't know that. He didn't know that. Nobody knew that but divine intelligence. And I'm sitting in that conference. There were sessions I skipped in that conference. If I'd been sitting in my room, I would have never heard him make the announcement. But I'm sitting there at the time he makes the announcement. And I go, oh, it starts next month. Oh, I like him. He's teaching it. And all he said was send me an email. I didn't even have to do any real work. I just had to send the man an email. So I went back to my room and I emailed him right away, not knowing that this class, some of the people in the class, some of the things I've now been involved with other students in the class, have blessed my life. I didn't know any of that when that man was standing up there mentioning his class. All I knew was every part of me was saying, yes, 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 let's do this. Do you know how many times I have thought about taking classes again, and I said no because I don't have time? And suddenly this man comes up with a 30-week course, and I said yes. I said no to 1-week long classes and said, I don't have time for that. But I said yes to 30 weeks. That made no sense. I had no evidence that that was going to work for me. None. In fact, all the evidence said, you're going to be a crazy woman because you know you don't have time for 30 weeks worth of classes. 30 weeks is a long time. I knew I didn't have that kind of time. But I said yes, not knowing. And I can't tell you how many times during those, I don't know how many weeks it's been, but we probably only have about 8 more. Yes, oh my God. Oh, I'm so excited. We are coming down the hill of that class right now. But I can't tell you how many times I was in that class and said, oh my God, I'm going to get kicked out. Oh my God, he's going to hate my paper. Oh my God, I don't know why I said I'd do this. Oh my God, I don't understand a thing I just read in these 2 chapters. Oh my God, how am I going to write a paper? Oh my goodness, it's due in 5 hours. Oh my God, it's due in 1 hour. I need to do this paper. And all of that. And I still haven't quit. And it still is answering more prayers than I could have ever known I would pray. So take the doubt with you. It doesn't matter. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure out why you're doubting. You're wasting time figuring out why you're doubting. Just say, okay, that's one choice. I'm choosing something else. Because in God, all things are possible. All. The operative word is all. So yes, things can go in a ditch. They often do, don't they? But not with God consciousness. With God, all things are possible. We just have to get our consciousness around the all and say yes, and continue to move forward in faith, even as you might be dragging a little bit of doubt behind you. It'll fall off at some point. Let's take this in a meditation. So just breathe with this. What doubts have come up? What fears do you have? What is your brain telling you, your mind telling you should not do? What things are making you nervous? But you know you've been called forward. And so whatever that doubt is, I want you to hold it in your mind right now. What are the things you've told yourself? Maybe it's around your finances, your health, relationship. Your work. Whatever it is, I want you to hold that doubt in front of you and just acknowledge it. Don't fight with it. Don't resist it. Just acknowledge it. Whatever energy or emotion you have around it, just let yourself be with that energy and that emotion. It's okay. It might be fear, frustration, anger, shame. Whatever that feeling is, let yourself be in that now as you appraise your doubt. What is it you think God can't handle, won't handle, can't possibly handle? So don't judge yourself in this place, judging that doubt. Just let yourself be with it. Knowing that that magnificent brain of yours is just bringing up possibilities. That part of you that is tasked with protecting you is only doing its job. Perhaps a little too well. So take a deep breath and exhale. And continue to breathe deeply. And as you breathe deeply, I want you to say in your heart of hearts a statement of faith about what you believe about God and life. And your knowledge that whatever it is you believe about God is more powerful than whatever it is that you fear or doubt. Muster all the faith that you can in this moment and apply it to that doubt and fear. In this moment, we tell our brains, we tell our minds that the same power that created the heavens and the earth is now resolving this issue, has already resolved this issue. And that your next step, just the very next step, one step, is being made clear to you. And all is well. For in pure potentiality, it is done. And your heart's desire has been manifested. Your heart's desire, which is always what the universe responds to, what God's consciousness responds to. Is at work right now. It was waiting for you to say yes. So in your heart of hearts now, say yes. Yes. All is God and all is good. 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 And so we give thanks for the manifestation of our good. We give thanks for it in advance because we know in pure potentiality that it is all done. And so we open our arms up wide for its manifestation in our lives. Yes, and thank you. Yes, and thank you. Yes, 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 and thank you. Yes, and thank you. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.